Welcome into the Energy Tech Podcast presented by OpSite Energy, where today we're filming live from ENTELEC 2026. We are excited to welcome Arlen Nipper, the co-founder and president of Cirrus Link. Guys, welcome to Galveston.
Oh, Jeff, it is good to be here in Galveston, Texas, as part of ENTELEC 2026. And of course, we love to have our esteemed guest, Mr. Arlen Nipper, the co-founder and president of Cirrus Link, and also the co-inventor of MQTT, the prolific protocol. Arlen, it's good to have you on the show again, man. So great for you to be here.
Hey, Mike, thanks. I always look forward to it.
Yes.
This is our second or third podcast, so.
More than that, we're going to lose count eventually. But you know what? The reason I like it, Arlen, is because, you know, we could sit you here for hours and we could uncover so many different things. But I do want to start with what you've been up to. We're in the second quarter, right, for the year, and you've been busy. So, you know, I want to know, you know, number one, I know you're here with, Sparkplug, you know, what that is for you here at ENTELEC, you know, what you're doing, and then maybe recap a couple of things that have happened for you this past year.
Well, I mean, it's been a busy first quarter. We had a very, very good first quarter. Data centers continue to kind of dominate as far as, you know, new opportunities coming up. The Prove It show was good. Really, for that, the Prove It guys gave us a booth there for just Sparkplug.
Yeah.
And I was going to all the vendors that say they do Sparkplug, but yet they haven't joined the Sparkplug working group.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, hey, guys, you know, we've put a lot of work into getting the spec out there, and it does cost money to join.
Yeah.
But it's not exorbitant in the fact that we just have to run, you know, the GitHub and the back end and the marketing that we do and all of that.
Yeah.
So I was quite thrilled that we had a workshop towards the end of Prove It. I go, man, you know, is anybody even going to show up?
Yeah.
And it was standing room only.
Yeah.
So we were really excited about that. So we've probably got a dozen vendors now that are in the process of, you know, going through the paperwork and everything to join the Sparkplug working group. So I think that'll be really good. We are coming out with the next version of Sparkplug.
Yes.
So I guess we're going to call it Sparkplug C.
Sparkplug C. Arlen, are you seeing lots of adoption? You know, you're right. I think there are some companies, I won't mention them here, but I know that they are large manufacturers of edge products that, you know, promote either the version of MQTT, Sparkplug. Are you getting a lot more adoption from larger organizations that are more prolific? In other words, they sell more products?
Yeah. So of these that we've engaged with at Prove It, most of them are, you know, very, very large corporations. Now, some of them are smaller, sensor manufacturers, stuff like that. But, you know, my real goal and the vision I've had from over the last 25 years is edge compute's fine, you know, edge gateway, doing protocol conversion, you know, converting that into Sparkplug B. But really the power of this is going to be when we have manufacturers that have PLCs, RTUs, flow computers, whatever that sensor is, publishing Sparkplug B native.
Okay.
Because then, you know, can you imagine a flow computer? You install it, and today we install a flow computer, and then, oh, gee, you know, if it's like a rock, you got to, what are the TLPs? Okay, I want to pull these TLPs. Well, this version of rock, this is a different TLP, and where are all my process variables mapped? And you go through that, and oh, do we get it right? And you're 2-3 weeks in, after you install the flow computer to get it online and get it checked out and get everything working. Well, imagine that flow computer, it knows what differential pressure is. It knows the totalization for, you know, yesterday. What if it could just come online, publish everything it knows
Natively,
yeah, and boom, you're done.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate single source of truth, because all of these manufacturers, they know what they're doing. They know that, you know, this is a pressure and this is a temperature and that's a flow rate. Well, gee, just tell me about it. Don't make me go
convert it
and dig through the manual and go, oh, well, gee, that one's in Canada, so the engineering units are going to be in kilopascals, and this one's PSI, and we don't need to go through that. And ultimately, even though I like, host applications like Aviva or inductive automation or Siemens or whatever, it's really the sensor manufacturers that are going to make this kind of go to the next level, if you will.
Yeah. I do want to mention a couple of things. I know you were at the Prove It conference, and anyone that's watching this, especially if you're ENTELEC, a member and so on, Prove It is a conference that's put on that centers mostly around manufacturing, where you really want to prove it with those efforts. What is it you're accomplishing? How much does it cost, and how long did it take? So you're doing that. But there, Arlen, you received a Lifetime Achievement Award. So I don't want you to downplay that, man. Like, you've been doing this a while, so you did get the Lifetime Achievement Award there. I want to make sure everyone knows that. And I think it was a long time coming anyway. It's really great to have you in the industry.
Well, I kind of wonder about that. Is my career done now? I mean,
no.
I just won the Lifetime. Okay, now I've got to work on the second Lifetime Achievement Award, or how does that work?
I think you would worry, Arlen, if you were getting an honorary doctorate or something.
But I did appreciate it. It was a surprise to me, and I appreciated Benson from Opto22 and Travis Cox from Inductive Automation put together the presentation before, and I was kind of blown away by that.
No, that's
really
exciting. Good. That's exciting. Arlen, I also want to mention, to bring this back to the level of Cirrus Link, the organization, one of the things that you're doing now is positioning the company as what we call an infrastructure layer. So you're no longer looking at yourselves as, well, we're just another bolt-on product that you buy. Like, speak to that a little bit, what Cirrus Link is when we talk about being in the infrastructure layer.
Well, it's always been about providing a good MQTT infrastructure. And I think we were very fortunate in being able to be a strategic partner now for the last 11 years with Inductive Automation.
Yeah.
Really the only strategic partner.
Yeah.
So what that's been able to show is how you can put out an MQTT infrastructure and get it all working in real time.
Right.
And the thing that's been interesting to me is that if you looked at our customer pie chart or whatever 7 years ago, it would have been 80-90% oil and gas.
Yeah.
Now even though those sectors are growing, oil and gas is only 25% of our business. So it's really switched over into manufacturing, food and beverage, life sciences, and now all of those different verticals are taking advantage of MQTT and Sparkplug and the modules that we do, and equipment, again, in devices that speak Sparkplug-B natively.
Yeah, and Arlen, so in other words, it's like the adoption there's been a paradigm shift in the adoption, right? When you talk about other verticals, especially like you said, manufacturing, you're seeing data center. Do you think that maybe in oil and gas, is that the result of just legacy equipment? You mentioned earlier the hurdle of conversion. Do you think that maybe that's part of the adoption or this, what I call that slow rate of adoption for energy?
Well, if you kind of think about it, although everybody thinks, oh, oil and gas, big market, but it's really pretty incestuous. You've got the big players.
Yeah.
So you're not going to, if you're looking at market adoption across all the different verticals, you're not going to see that a huge increase in the oil and gas, because in manufacturing, man, you're picking up all of these different, verticals from food and beverage to automotive to data centers. And I think a lot of the adoption is people, MQTT, one of the power of MQTT is you're publishing data on a topic, and that can turn into a hierarchy.
Yes.
And now we can organize our data into a hierarchy, and you've got a location attached to that. And really what Walker Reynolds did is, we've been doing it for 25 years, but he put a name to it, and he called it the Unified Namespace.
Right.
And, I've been promoting this notion of a single source of truth for 10 years now.
Yes.
And now it's coming back at me. Oh, we're on a customer meeting, and oh yeah, I want the single source of truth, and I want the UNS. So it's gone full circle, and I think people are finally realizing that you can accomplish a single source of truth. And by that, what we mean is that even if the equipment isn't talking, MQTT or Sparkplug natively, you get your edge as close to that as you can,
Yes.
where your engineering subject matter experts live, all of that.
Yeah.
And then you publish it, and you don't go to that next level that we used to do.
Yeah.
Right? You had to edit a process variable. You got a Modbus register.
Right.
So you poll for that Modbus register, the value comes back, and the value is 12. 12 what?
Yeah.
Is it scaled? What's the engineering high? What's the engineering low? So this notion, now a human being had to go edit that point.
Yeah.
And what if he put in the wrong scaling or the wrong engineering units? And
Yes.
he's doing that for tens, if not hundreds of thousands of tags, and you've got to keep that up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Whereas if you get this notion of a single source of truth, move everything as far to the edge as you can, now the result of that is now you can rely on your data that you're getting into your enterprise. And then we could have all kinds of conversations on AI or big data or whatever. But until you get your operation side right, the rest of the conversation is kind of a moot point.
Having said that, Arlen, you brought a question in my mind here is, so what mistakes do you think people are still making or you're seeing in topic namespace? When you'd say, hey, they're treating MQTT as just another protocol. Like I would imagine that, they can still have lots of great adoption because I don't think MQTT is done by far. I think it's not quite its adoption rates. There's a cycle for that adoption. I still think in my mind, I still think it's early. Like it's and I'll explain why when we start talking about AI. I know it's one of the things that I've had you either 50% roll your eyes or 50%, well, hold,
Mm-hmm.
But in your mind, what are some of the mistakes that you see people that are implementing MQTT or Sparkplug still making?
Well, I mean, it's actually going quite well. I mean, once they get the notion of putting together their group ID, their device ID, their node ID, and we are coming out with the next version of Sparkplug, Sparkplug C, if you want to call it that.
Right.
And it will allow for a deeper namespace if you want to.
Okay.
And it will allow you to publish in JSON instead of Google Protobuf.
Yes. Okay.
Now, a lot of the customers that are asking for that, I think, it's one of those things, watch out for what you wish for because you might get it. And they're going to turn on that huge topic namespace expansion. They're going to turn on JSON, and then they're going to take their network down because it's going to create a data storm because they don't realize that if you've got 100,000 tags and you publish those all in JSON, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, and it's flat, right? It's just some big flat deal.
Well, it still could be Sparkplug, schema within that JSON. So you're still keeping the Sparkplug schema. And what people don't realize is that if you read the Sparkplug spec, you'll see that our examples in Sparkplug are actually JSON schemas.
Right.
So all Google Protobuf is doing, so internal to our software, it looks like a JSON schema.
Right.
Then you run it through the function to create a Google Protobuf message. And then at the other end, I mean, literally, if you're in Java or things like that, it's one line of code to explode a Google Protobuf back into native JSON.
Right. I got it. And so I guess when you're talking about doing this and it's, let's say, the next level for Sparkplug, what I'm hearing from you is that's an enhancement. And a lot of times you'll hear data engineers say, well, Mike, if you just give it to me in JSON, we'll do our data engineering and our, what's the word I mentioned earlier? Oh, data enrichment, which is another expensive way to get your hands on the data, right? Versus what you're talking about.
Right. And again, people don't realize, I mean, 8 years ago, for us, and for inductive automation, a big SCADA system was maybe 20,000 tags.
Yes.
And then a big SCADA system was 100,000. And then it was 500,000. And now we've got customers 14 million and wanting to know what it's going to look like with 100 million.
Yes.
So if you start looking at that and you start realizing that with Sparkplug, one of the huge efficiencies is that we are publishing multiple process variables per Sparkplug message. So if you even a temperature, so if you had a temperature and it changed several times within 1 second, you would have 4 of those readings, each with its timestamp, being published in a single Google protobuf message.
Got it.
Now, if you roll that back and you go, okay, well, I want to only publish one process variable per MQTT message, you'll take down your entire network. You wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. Wow. So, Arlen, when I want to kind of pivot a second here when you're, in terms of Cirrus Link and, I'm going to see if you're going to roll your eyes if we start talking about AI. And the reason I bring this up is because, we're working with an oil and gas customer as well. And 2 things came out of this. The first one was a conversation where it was like someone started using Claude and they said, well, we want to put Claude in why can't we use Claude? It was the first one. The second thing was that if in order to achieve what I call AI readiness, because I get it, Arlen, I don't think we can stop anybody from running towards that tape. It's like in a race, right? Let's get to that tape. I still believe that with UNS, because you've got that data lineage beginning at the edge with UDTs and a semantic layer that's added along with the single source of truth, you're actually more ready than you would have been had you just brought in a group that said, well, we can make your dreams come true with AI. Right.
Well, again, once you get into that, I mean, I'm not an AI expert. I think we sat in on an education session yesterday that INS did on how INS are using Claude and helping them, speed their project by order of magnitude. So I think it definitely has its place there. If you're telling me you want to put Claude in between like a process control and let it send set points or let it turn pumps on and off or let it open and close valves, I'm still very, very leery about that.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. We had our show for the beginning of the year, Arlen, and I made a couple of predictions. I don't like to do, I'm not going to make them as deep, but one of the things I did predict, or I'm predicting seeing, and I am seeing it now, is these AI agents. And so the agent is not necessarily turning pumps off and on. It's more about placing it at the enterprise where I can ask my data, right? So you'll start augmenting, asking questions the same way anyone's using MCP right now. So they're connecting MCP, and then they'll ask questions because they don't have to keep using the same standard dashboard. They might go and ask the large language model, hey, instead of the standard visualization, tell me what's been happening with this pump over the last 90 days. Right, so maybe that's a little bit different, but I agree with you. I don't think we want to place an agent that's inside of a control, an ICS, saying turn this off, turn this all based on a data set that you're even looking at.
Yeah, I think that the perfect place for AI is realizing what we don't know now. We know what we know. We don't know what we don't know. Having AI look at your entire UNS and say, look at that. Oh, I didn't realize this pattern is happening, or I didn't realize that was happening. I think it'll be very valuable in that.
Yeah.
And I think, in optimizing manufacturing, optimizing processes, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
But again, it's only going to work as well as your data quality is coming in.
Yeah, Arlen, one of the phrases I'm hearing right now, and maybe you have heard it, especially working with data center customers, they're now referring to the data center as the AI factory. That seems to be the term.
Yep.
And so I have a question for you. Hindsight's always 20/20, but if you were designing MQTT from scratch and you knew this is where we'd be at today, what do you think you would have changed, if anything?
Really, I don't. I mean, I think Andy and I, again, we were just trying to solve a problem
Yeah.
at the time. But when I look back now, 2020 hindsight, we did a lot of things. We just picked the right way to do it, like remote originated connection.
Yes.
Well, now for Phillips 66, nobody was asking us about security. There was no cloud. Nobody was caring about security.
Right.
It's just, and then the other thing that we didn't do, that we were pressured, but we didn't do it, is, we need to define the topic. Okay, we didn't do that. We need to define the payload. Mike, here's where the process variables go and all of that. Nope, it's a binary blob. But what that, if you look out there today, there's 20 to 30 billion devices using MQTT.
Right.
And the reason is they get to optimize the topic the way they want it. They get to optimize the payload the way they want it. And so the adoption is huge. We took advantage of TCP/IP.
Right.
Right from the very, get-go. So we layered MQTT right on top of TCP/IP. So now, what about secure? What if TLS changes? That's fine. MQTT gets to ride along with all of that because we're sitting on top of TCP/IP.
Yeah.
So really, I don't think there's much we could have changed looking even at today's, the fact that now we've got cloud computing and now we've got, data warehouses like Snowflake and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much of that in hindsight that I would said, I wish we would have done that.
Wow. And, Arlen, I do want to ask you, because I know we're going to see each other this year, hopefully at ICC again, other things, but you're beginning early in 26. Kind of give me an idea what's on the horizon for you going to this year, right? And not you're not ending anything, so by no means. I'm talking about 2026 because there's a lot going on, man. You've got quite a lot of energy, and got kind of what's the future look like for you even this year?
Well, again, we had a record first quarter.
Okay.
Everything is looking good going through the rest of the year. Our push at Cirrus Link is that our Chariot MQTT broker is probably by the end of this month, we'll have a version of that you can run in a Docker.
Yes.
We are really promoting, regardless of if it's our Chariot broker or whatever, for mission-critical operations, we are promoting the fact that you really shouldn't use clustered MQTT brokers because clustering means that you're doing load balancing, which means you could have data arrive out of order.
Correct.
And if that happens with Sparkplug, you're going to miss a sequence number because, you can have MQTT two ways. I've got some data, I want to get it structured, I want to get it into UNS, I want to send it to the cloud.
Right.
If it arrives out of order, no problem. It's got a timestamp on it, it's going to get reordered. But if I'm sitting there controlling a pipeline and I get a message in out of order that said the valve went closed when it actually went open, that's bad.
Gotcha.
And so the thing we like about MQTT, even from day one, all the way back to Phillips 66, is that it's so easy to have 2 or 3 or 6 MQTT brokers.
Got it.
They all handle the load. There's no reason for these gargantuan, I can do 1 trillion tags a second because nobody has that out in the field. But what they do have is that data arriving out of order or data that's being dropped is bad in any sort of an operational system. So we're really targeting Chariot we're not trying to be a cloud. We're not trying to compete with EMQ or HiveMQ. What they do, they're very good at.
Sure.
But, that promoting of in the operation zone, on the ground is having, multiple just plain vanilla MQTT brokers is really optimal.
So what's the benefit there, Arlen, if I place that let's say I containerize that in Docker and I put that on an edge device? Is that, what's the value there? What do you think?
Well, you could do that. I mean, you could have, again, if my dream comes true, and all of this sensors and flow computers and PLCs and RTUs start publishing native Sparkplug-B, that means I could have a broker on the edge that could actually get all of that, and I could have my local HMI, local analytics, local AI looking for things, anomalies. I could have that right there and be able to publish that on to a upper level broker as well.
Yeah, got it. Wow. Man, there's so much to uncover with Mr. Arlen Nipper, but we can't keep him. Otherwise, I would cancel some of the other appointments, but we won't do that. Sorry. It's just, when we've got you, we've got you. And, you know, Arlen is here at ENTELEC 2026, you know, and Arlen, it's great to have you. And, you know, he's here with Sparkplug, so you can catch Arlen right here at ENTELEC 2026. It's great to have him on the show. We got to let him go. I'm your co-host, Mike Flores, with the Energy Tech Podcast, live here at ENTELEC in Galveston, Texas. Arlen, it's always good to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Enjoyed it, Mike. Awesome.
Yes.